Club has always been a forum for public figures, thought leaders, and decision makers to share their ideas. Here, we offer access to dynamic political, business, and public personalities.
We are dedicated to encouraging debate on the issues that matter to this city, this province, and this country.
The Canadian Club is one of the most important podiums anywhere in the world that a Canadian can speak to, tell Canadians what it is that they think, develop those thoughts. And so I want to thank you for that very, very much.
Please join me in thanking our esteemed panelists today.
Through our programs and events, including our youth and young leaders programs, our diversity partnerships, our joint events, and our media and social media opportunities, we offer you access to dynamic political, social, and business figures from abroad and right here at home.
The platform from which the eloquence of Canada has flowed all of that time, whether it be business, education, politics, sports, arts, and culture. If someone wants to say something to Canadians about this country and about the future of this country, this is the venue you choose.
Good afternoon, members and guests. My name is David Simmons. I'm president of the Canadian Club and your host for today. Our 125th anniversary year has brought profound change for us. We adapted to the realities of a global pandemic because we knew our members and guests wanted connection and engagement and to be in the same room again. So we're here. We're also live with several guests joining us online. We want to thank you for your ongoing support of the club, and we're glad that you're able to join us through your medium of choice. For those of you joining us virtually, please engage with us on social media. Hashtags are on the table, and they're on the screen as well. Canada Goose has a broader purpose in keeping us warm. Its commitment to sustainability takes many forms, including strengthening communities, protecting planet Earth, as well as our polar bears. Dani Reiss will provide us with key insights about Canada Goose's success in retail and in sustainability. Please use the Q&A card found on your table if you have questions for Dani. We'll collect them, and our moderator, Jodi, will help integrate them into the conversation. For those of you joining us remotely, you can hit the Submit a Question button on your screen. The sooner the better. Submit your question. Again, we'll filter those in to the conversation happening in the room. Let me take a moment to acknowledge today's event sponsors, Cadillac Fairview and E&Y. Thank you to Sahid and Monica for being here today and helping us. We appreciate it. It's because of our sponsors we're able to continue to operate and welcome guests like Dani and Jodi. A round of applause for our sponsors. Now allow me to formally introduce our guest. As Chairman and Chief Executive Officer, Dani's played a central role in developing Canada Goose into a global consumer brand backed by a world-class team of senior business leaders. I also see many of them in the room, so welcome to his executive team that's here. As CEO, he's a staunch champion for Made in Canada manufacturing and has been recognized for his unwavering passion for authenticity and bringing more of Canada to the world. Dani's been recognized as Canada's most admired CEO in 2020, awarded Global Visionary of the Year by the Globe and Mail's Report on Business in 2019. He was appointed a member of the Order of Ontario in 2019 and a member of the Order of Canada in 2016. He currently serves on the board of directors of Polar Bears International and on the board of Casper and Mount Sinai Hospital, as well as the advisory board for Students on Ice. This afternoon, Mr. Reiss is joined in conversation by Jodi Butts. Jodi is a senior governance consultant, a strategist, a trained lawyer, a respected executive leader with experience across healthcare, global business, and public policy. Dani and Jodi, I'm pleased to welcome you to the club. I'd ask our guests to join us in viewing a quick video before they take the stage.
Canada Goose was born here, so sustainability has always been deeply ingrained in our brand. Having achieved carbon neutrality in 2019 and every year thereafter, Canada Goose is committed to net zero emissions by 2025. At Canada Goose, we believe that all of us are responsible for the future. We are dedicated to giving back, protecting our planet, and making an impact. in order to keep our planet cold and the people on it warm.
Dani, that was awesome.
I think the team did a great job on that video, yeah. That was really good.
That's really good.
I liked it.
So we obviously want to talk about sustainability. It's Earth Week after all. But before we get to that, I want to start at the beginning, how this family business turned into a global powerhouse. As you know, I know the story as a board member of Canada Goose, but let's share that story. I swear. But let's share it with everyone.
Absolutely. There's many versions of the story. Yeah, we are a third generation family business. We were founded in 1957 by my grandfather, and that was the first generation. His business was small, and he had a small shop and what's now like condos downtown in Toronto. And my father got involved in the second generation, and he got us into the down manufacturing business. We became a preeminent manufacturer of down clothing for other brands, and that was, he created clothes for the coldest places on earth. Actually, he called it Snow Goose, and so I got involved in this business in 1997 after getting my degree in English Lit at the University of Toronto.
We're both good English Lit degree people.
Yeah.
See? Yeah. It can work out.
Yeah, you get your English degree and then you can get into business. So after doing that, I was going to go traveling, and I decided, and my folks offered me an opportunity to work at the company for 3 months just to make some cash. They'd always told me my whole life, like, Dani, whatever you do, you will not do this because it's too hard, it's too challenging. And, look what it did to your dad and all that kind of stuff. So I always, it was always a foregone conclusion this would not be what I would do. And I also personally wanted to do my own thing. I didn't really want my parents to give me a job. So I said yes to the part-time or 3-month offer to make some cash to travel and write short stories. And then I stayed for 3 months, and then I stayed for 3 more months. And really the reason behind it is because first of all, I learned what a brand, coming into this, I wasn't a brand person. I often tell stories about cutting logos off my shirts and stuff that my mom would buy me because I didn't like brands. And the irony is not lost on me that our logo is today a very important part of all of our garments. But what I learned was a brand equals reputation, and that we had a real brand, and this product that we made was a real product that actually enabled people that lived in the coldest places on earth to do their jobs and to enable them to do that. And so I thought I didn't know that before. I thought that was really interesting, and I learned that, well, this is what a real brand is. A brand is a reputation, and then, I started traveling to trade shows. Some of them were the first few things I did, mainly traveling to trade shows because I like to travel. So I thought, well, let's go to Germany, and we got some business in Europe already anyway. So let's just go to Europe and see how this goes. And we got an order the first year, so we can go back the next year.
Well done. Well done.
Yeah, and it was baby steps, and then it's ironically, we built this brand in Europe first. It's weird because it is a Canadian success story. We were built in the high Arctic and gained our reputation there. But I remember in the early days walking down Queen Street, going store to store, trying to sell some stuff, and nobody wanted to buy the stuff. And they all told me the stuff was too expensive, and they all told me that nobody wanted stuff this warm in the city, and so went to Europe, and they had a different point of view. They saw us as a luxury brand and the authentic Canadian thing, like a Swiss watch made in Switzerland. And I learned about, again, as part of learning about an authentic, real brand and the elements that it has. Made in Canada is a part of that, which we can talk about at some point. That's important to talk about that. And so we started building in Europe first, and eventually we brought it, almost re-imported it to North America in a sense. It's sort of been a 25-year journey that has become an overnight success story. So.
Exactly. It's always that way, right?
Always that way.
So let's talk about purpose, and within that context, we can certainly talk about the Made in Canada aspect of Canada Goose. But I'm sure there's lots of people listening online and in this room, you hear about corporate purpose. What does it mean to you, to Canada Goose, and how did you get there?
I think that for me, I think purpose is, from day one, purpose was important to me, right? I never wanted to do something that didn't matter, that didn't make a difference. And so, even coming into the company, I never thought, I never wanted to do it, never wanted to stay, because I never thought making jackets was, had a real important meaning to it, And I learned, but I learned that wasn't true when I learned how it impacted people's lives. And every decision we made, has always been made through a lens of purpose and of being important, being something that can leave a meaningful legacy. And so I think a great example of that is our commitment to Made in Canada, and how we decided in the year 2000, we made a decision, we're going to keep our production in Canada, even though everybody was leaving back then. I'm not going to name names of companies because it's not polite, but I remember them, and they're all made. They're companies that were making announcements almost every day. We're leaving Canada because nobody cares about Made in Canada. Canadians don't care about Made in Canada, and we can't compete anymore because of margin. So we're going offshore, and I was at the same time learning in Europe, in Asia, Japan in particular at the time, that the fact that we were made in Canada really added this amazing amount of value to our brand, to them. And so I figured that, this feeling that Made in Canada is important, seeing that I know that it's important to other people in the world, it's going to become important to Canadians, even if it's not now, for whatever reason. I didn't really understand why it wasn't important, but it was expressed to me that it wasn't important. So I figured if we could just stick around for 5 years, at the time we were very small, we weren't working full hours, and I just thought if we could just stay committed to double down on Made in Canada, stay committed to it, and be here in 5 years or so. 5 years, it could be 6 or 7 or 3 or whatever, but in a little while, then we'll be the only brand left, because everyone's leaving. And then if it's true that people are going to care about Made in Canada more, then we'll have this massive competitive advantage. That's worked. It's worked.
I was going to say, I think it worked out.
It worked out.
Good call.
We're proud of our. We have the largest manufacturing infrastructure of its kind now in Canada. We employ approximately 20% of the cut and sew workforce in this country, and that's a sector that had been decimated by globalization, and we've been able to help revitalize it. And we're all, I know all of us here in the room from Canada Goose are all really proud of that, and the role that we play in Canada, and the way that infrastructure was able to help during the pandemic. There's and that's also part of our. You ask how purpose, how we make decisions around purpose. It's another example. Early days Made in Canada. Fast forward to today, making PPE during the pandemic. It was. So I would say that every one of our, any major decision is filtered through, how is this going to be important? How is this going to leave a mark?
Well, that's awesome. So one of the words we heard in the video was authenticity. What's the relationship between purpose and authenticity?
I think that they're similar. I think it's difficult to have a purpose if you're not authentic, actually. I'm thinking about it. I think that authenticity is real. Authenticity is reputation, and to be purpose-driven, and you have to be authentic to be purpose-driven. And I think that's. I think in business today, especially before the pandemic, certainly now as we're not through it yet, but we're certainly in a different stage of it. I think it's become more important for business in general because I think the pandemic has shone a light on lots of things.
Yeah. So let's dig into a little bit about, you referenced it in your earlier response, that meeting moments, because I think there's a lot of companies that they're just not sure what to do when something like a pandemic happens, discovery of unmarked graves, containing, the bodies of children sent to residential schools. How does purpose help you understand as a company how to meet those moments?
I think that it is the. I think that the role of business and the role of government has changed over, I'm not sure what amount of time, but I think it's changed. And I think that businesses are trusted more if they're good businesses. They're trusted more, and they're able to execute faster and get things done faster than government is able to. And so people are looking for businesses to play a real role in the communities in which they operate and to make positive change in those communities in whatever way that is. And whether it's sustainability or social justice, these are areas that are important to our society, and businesses are expected, I think, to do that. I expect our business to do that, and we do. And we always have. We always have. It's always been important. Anytime there was a crisis in the world of some kind, we'd make some kind of donation. We don't always announce it because it's not about announcing it; it's about doing it. And we've always responded to the needs of society in times of crisis. And I think that I don't think there's going to be a business around in 20 years that is not good for the world. Because I don't think people want to buy things from companies that aren't good for the world, because people realize the state of the world right now. And the state of the world right now is, perhaps not as good as it used to be.
Yeah.
In many ways.
No, for sure, for sure. So what would you say to someone who challenged you to say, you know what, you should just be focusing in on the shareholder?
Honestly, I think that is focusing on the shareholder. Actually, I think that I look at my role in running this company. I want to build a company that is built for the long term and that is going to be here in generations and in decades. And I think that over time, that is building shareholder value. Shareholder value is not built quarter to quarter. Often public markets look at things that way. We definitely do not look at things that way, and we never have. And we've always spoken about ourselves as a brand that looks at things long term, and we do. So I think that I would, those people who challenge, anybody who would challenge that premise, they just have a different view of the time horizon of shareholder value than I would. And I think we want what's right for society and the planet over a long term, and also for business.
So would the company's purpose ever prevent Canada Goose from meeting a moment? So let me give an example. Like the pandemic, it's awesome that Canada Goose was making PPE and rose to that occasion. But someone might say, well, what does that have to do with human nature? So was there any discussion like, hey, maybe this isn't our moment to jump into?
When it came to PPE and pandemic, no, it was instantaneous. Like, we realized that the Canadian healthcare system did not have the supplies they needed. I mean, I personally, being involved with Mount Sinai, knew people there who were telling me firsthand, we don't have this stuff, and I'm like, well, we can make it. Like, we have 8 factories across Canada. We employ thousands of people. Like, we can make this stuff. So we're just going to make the stuff. It was the right thing to do, and we wanted to do the right thing. And I mean, everyone in the company united behind this thing. It was definitely purpose driven, which was to help our country. And we have the name Canada in our name after all. And
right.
So we started to make PPE and donating it, and eventually we partnered with provincial governments and federal governments and on procurement contracts that we fulfilled at cost. We didn't think it was appropriate to make money during this time of the pandemic. There's other times for that, and we ended up making over 2.5 million units for Canada. And thank all the Canada Goose team who's here as well.
No, that's fantastic. So let's switch gears a little bit. It's Earth Week. Earth Day is on Friday. The video, let's talk about sustainability. What are Canada Goose's commitments, and how do you see getting the company there?
We've taken sustainability very seriously. We actually issued our first ever sustainability report in the middle of the pandemic. And I remember these were early days, like it was the first year, and I remember like us all debating it, like, should we release this thing? Like, is this really an appropriate time to be releasing, stuff about our company? Like, it seemed almost weird to be talking about ourselves during this kind of time. And then, as we thought about it, it was like, actually, there's really no better time to release it because, many people, many companies, individuals were we're rethinking the state of the world. And for us to come out with that sort of a document at that time we felt very, very appropriate. And, we are committed to reducing our carbon to net carbon zero by 2025. And, that among many other commitments, around minimizing the use of plastics in our organization, we aim to become RDS certified, which is a down standard, which we aim to do next year. Sometime this year, we've already done that. So we're taking it seriously. It's really, I think, it's really empowered the entire organization. I think that the people that work at Canada Goose are very proud of what we are doing and how we are trying to take, and we will take, a leadership role in the apparel industry and in reshaping the way the apparel industry operates and operates in a sustainable way. And back to what I said earlier, I think it has to. I don't think it's a nice thing to do. I don't think this is a marketing campaign. Like, I think the companies must do this, or else, consumers, people won't buy stuff from companies that aren't helping the world, because the world needs help.
So the fashion industry, for those who don't know, really not a great track record when it comes to emissions and wastewater. Is it enough? Like, is what Canada Goose doing enough?
I believe so. I believe it has to be. I think that we're going very deep in our supply chain into what kind of materials we use, recycled materials, preferred fibers, and our commitments have been, we track them very carefully, and they are quite extensive. And I think that we will be able to not only achieve them, but exceed them, and be an example for the fashion and the apparel industry into how it can be a sustainable industry. Even other things like re-commerce, for example, which we're trying to look into, are important as well. And there's lots of ways that we can create a circular economy, and I think leadership has been something that's always been important for us. Like, we've become a leader in what we do by starting with being made in Canada and by swimming upstream, and I think that we can do the same thing with sustainability.
I'm just listening to you talk. It's so true. Once you identify that goal, you just see things that you didn't see before. Any sort of surprises you want to share with us in terms of, as you've been pushing through this sustainability journey, things that you discovered that you didn't expect to discover?
I think that it surprises, maybe the wrong word for it, but I think it's something that has to. I think a realization is that it's something that really has to run through the whole organization, and it's not a department. It's not marketing, and for us, we never thought of it that way, anyways. But it's not. It's not that, and it takes the whole company to get behind an initiative like this, and that in itself is a powerful tool for change. If you can get a whole company behind an initiative like this, which I believe we have, and I think actually it's improved our employee engagement scores. I think people are proud to work for Canada Goose for many reasons, and I think this is one of those reasons.
That's awesome. We have some great audience questions, so I'm going to put them to you. So this one is just fun, and I don't know the answer, so I'm asking it.
All right.
When was the last time you attended a fashion show?
I love that question. I can't remember. I can't remember because I don't. I love those questions. I love being able to say this. I don't consider Canada Goose a fashion brand. I tell that to everybody all the time. We're a function first brand. We're a performance brand. We are fashionable, and we for sure sell through channels that are fashion channels, but we can never make the mistake of seeing ourselves as a fashion brand. I look at us as like being the Land Rover of clothing. I think that's a great analogy for who we are. And for example, Land Rover is a vehicle that's designed to work in any environment in this world and cross cold and hot deserts. And if you bring it into the city and you put some leather seats in it and you put some chrome shifter on it and some tires and some wood grain or some whatever you put there, and it becomes a fashion statement and a luxury product, but it's not what its intention was. I think performance pushed far enough becomes luxury. I think that's, and it's very important that people, that we communicate that's who we are. I think that's why we are fashionable, because we're real, and that's also authenticity too. It's back to the authenticity point. Yeah. So last time fashion show, I cannot remember. I think I went to some fashion award thing once in London that somebody invited me to, but that was probably 15 years ago.
Okay, that was a good one. So audience, keep asking questions. Okay, this is another fun one, so I'm gonna go with it. Do you get any backlash due to the fact that Canadian geese are often unwelcome and, I'll say dirty. How about that? They can be dirty.
I just picture the, there's some amazing images of Canadian geese on some silver dollars and gold coins, and when I think of Canadian geese, that's all I ever think of.
Good answer. Okay, let's talk about fur. Canada Goose made the decision to go fur-free. How did you land on that decision? Was it pressure from the outside? How did you land on that with your team?
Well, that was something we had been talking about for quite some time as a team, and I think that ultimately, it fell under our human nature platform, and we realized that we were able to make the same quality products without using fur. The same kind of products would function just as well, and so we decided that if we could be more sustainable that way, then we should, because that's what we were trying to do. And so we made that decision.
Right. Awesome. Have you received any backlash from discontinuing fur?
No, we haven't. I would not say we've received any backlash. I think we have had some very important and meaningful conversations with Indigenous communities in the North who do use fur as a way of life, and we are not opposed to fur. We just, we're not opposed to. We aren't anti-fur, but we have decided that for our inline product, it's something that we don't need to use anymore.
Right. Another great question from the audience. So when you have Canada in your name, how do you become and stay globally relevant?
I think the Canadian brand is very strong. Having traveled around the world for 20 years or whatever and met with many people, and I feel like I'm almost an unofficial ambassador for Canada, and Canada Goose is an unofficial ambassador for Canada around the world. I think the Canadian brand is very strong, that I think actually a lot of Canadian businesses don't. I think they miss out on the opportunity to take advantage of that and to use that brand, because people around the world really love Canada. So I think Canada's been a tremendous benefit for us. We have Canada in our name, obviously. I can't think of another luxury company that has Canada in their name on a storefront outside of Canada. And so I think that I strongly encourage the entire Canadian business community to leverage the brand of Canada, because I think that it's valuable.
That's awesome. So let's flip that question around a little bit. What do you think the impact has been for Canada by Canada Goose including it in its name?
I think it's difficult to imagine that we as a brand have enhanced the Canadian brand. I think the Canadian brand is bigger than we are. I think just nice of you to suggest that maybe we would have, but
I'm just doing my job, guys.
I'm certainly not going to take credit for the strength of the Canadian brand, but but I know that around the world, Canada is a country that is highly revered and that people think very highly of, and I think that's really important. And I think we should all be really proud of that.
Absolutely.
It's a Canada Club, after all.
Yeah, exactly. Woo. So you are in this role, let's just say, for a little bit longer than you originally anticipated.
Just a bit.
Yeah. What excites you about being the CEO of Canada Goose?
I think we have so many opportunities. I think it's become a big responsibility, and so that I take it seriously, and it's important. And personally, I wake up. I know that we've come a long way. I think we have a long way to go. I wake up every morning just coming to work, trying to earn what we've already achieved and accomplished. I think that's the way I look at it. And so, yeah, every day is. I'm being self-reflective, realizing I just had come to work. I haven't done that really for 2 years. But yeah, show up at work on the screen in front of my colleagues.
As a tile.
Yeah.
Okay, another great audience question. Thank you. What impact do quote-unquote rip-off Canada Goose products have on your brand, and how do you think that kind of threat through?
Well, first and foremost, I think that focus, and I've learned over the years, focusing on our own brand and what we want to do is the most important thing. That's the most important thing, is focusing on our business plan, our strategy, our approach, our product, the things that we have in mind to do, because if we execute on our plans as we have been so good at doing as a team, I think that we're going to continue to be strong. When we talk about knockoffs, I'm not so sure if you're referring to counterfeits or other brands who are trying to get into the category. I think that, and as it relates to other brands trying to get into the category, well, it's only validates the category and the size of the category, and we're one of the companies that helped to create that category, and I'm proud to be a leader in that category. So, I'm not. Obviously, I do believe only the paranoid survives, so I'm aware of my competition, but I don't lose sleep over it. And when it comes to counterfeit, and there is a counterfeit problem, that's a significant problem. And I think it's important that we protect our own intellectual property and that we protect our brand, because it's important that we do that for our fans and for the people that love Canada Goose and want to buy real Canada Goose product. And so, we've got a pretty thorough IP protection program that we invest a lot of money in every year.
Awesome. Not everybody may know the relationship between Canada Goose and the movie business. Can you share with us, how did it start, and where is it today? How do you think about that relationship in terms of the brand?
Canada Goose and the movie have been very important. It's a very important relationship that has existed now for decades. We're the unofficial jacket of film sets everywhere it's cold. And we've been selling jackets to the film industry for many, many years for them to use because of our functionality. And, film sets anywhere it's cold, if you're standing somewhere outside for 18 hours and you're standing still in one place and you're freezing, if you're wearing a Snow Mantra or a Resolute parka, you're not going to be freezing. And you also have lots of pockets for your film and your cameras and all your tape and whatever film making stuff you need. So we've had a great relationship with that industry, and we were able to, as part of becoming a global brand, as part of if you look at the last 20 years, is taking this great product that only existed in the coldest places on earth and was only known by people who live there, and bringing it into the great cities and urban centers of the world. We had to get the knowledge out there that this product was a really good product, and the film industry really helped us do that, in the sense that we were able to take our product from behind the camera to being in front of the camera, and that in a very authentic way. So we've never paid for a product placement, and filmmakers would use our product in scenes that were shot in the Arctic or Antarctic or whatnot, and we would then show up in movies. And I think that's one of the ways we became known. And the first movie we were in ever, I remember, was The Day After Tomorrow with Dennis Quaid, and it's actually about climate change.
Yes,
ironically.
I love that movie.
yeah, it was a very entertaining movie, and
I like disaster movies. I'm sorry.
yeah, I do think it was entertaining.
Yeah.
And then we were in National Treasure with Nicolas Cage after that, and that was our second movie. And my favorite part about that is that we all the bad guys wore one of our competitor brands, and all the good guys wore Canada Goose jackets. And I'm not sure how many people picked up on that, but I definitely picked up on that, and I took it as some kind of an omen that things were going in the right direction.
Yeah.
And then after that, we've been in many, many films since then, and hundreds of Hollywood films since then. And we to this day remain a fixture behind the camera. We sell jackets to the film industry, and it's a very important relationship for us. And
that's how the Mystique got its name, right?
The Mystique got its name because we made it for Rebecca Romijn, because she was in the X-Men movie, and she was wearing nothing but body paint from what I understand, and she needed a really long jacket to cover her entire body because she was cold. So we made that jacket for her specifically, and then we commercialized it. That is true.
Okay, so bringing it back to purpose then, when you think about some of the philanthropic work that Canada Goose does, so with Polar Bears International and Students on Ice, how do you see that fitting within the purpose, and how does it contribute to organizational culture?
I think that, I'll talk about Polar Bears International, for example, and we've been involved with them now for 15 years, I guess. When we launched on our 50th anniversary, we published a book, a coffee table book, and it highlighted 50 people for 50 years of our existence. And we wanted to find the right charitable partner to partner with, and we wanted them. It was important to me that, as going back to purpose, that it was a charitable cause that was aligned with what we do, and not that any charity wouldn't have been. And all charity is good charity, but from a corporate point of view, it's important to us to be purpose-based and to align with the right charity. So we found Polar Bears International. Polar Bears, 2/3 of the world's polar bears live in Canada, and they cross borders and stuff too, but like roughly 2/3. They don't know where the polar bears are. But so it really was a Canadian leadership issue. They're icons of the North. We like to think that our jackets can sometimes be perceived as iconic as well. So it made sense for us to partner with them as a charity, and that's why we chose them. And since then, we've, I sat on their board for a long time. I was chairman for a long time. We made special jackets for them, and then we sold them, and we've donated money back to PBI. We've been able to contribute millions of dollars to them over the past many years, and we're really, really proud of that relationship. And it's an ongoing relationship which continues to grow and evolve and get stronger. It's amazing. I mean, the PBI line that we sell has done really well. Like people, they like we use the PBI logo on it, and also the special PBI blue. I think people, it's a good color.
It's a great color. Okay, last question, Dani. So, what keeps you up at night, and where do you think Canada Goose will be in 5 years?
Well, I'm a bad sleeper, so I'm not sure that's a fair question. 5 years? I think the sky's the limit. Honestly, I think that we need to keep. We have to continue to be a purpose-based brand. I think that, when I look back at what I thought when I was younger, and every year we're like, "Hey, Dani, you think you sold too many jackets?" And I wonder, did I sell too many jackets? And the next year, did we sell too many jackets this year? Like, what year is going to be the year where we sold too many jackets? Because we seem to be selling lots of jackets. Like, at some point, maybe this is going to stop. And then I realize now that there's brands that are so much bigger than us, that sell so much more product than us. And I think that, so I know that the opportunity continues to be so big for us. And I think that, it's exciting that we have the opportunity to be a brand that can do that can grow from where we are and transform our business that we have, but then continue to grow in in a sustainable way and in the right way. And I think I think that's a very appealing thing for, going back to your investor question, I think that's a very appealing thing.
Well, you didn't give me the answer to what keeps you up at night, but I think you gave me the answer to why you get up in the morning. So that's pretty awesome. Please join me in thanking Dani for joining us today and for sharing all your insights.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
I got to say this. I work for Canada Life. That was a joke. Canada. I love you, Dani. I was so taken by Dani that I wasn't looking at the time or my notes, and I'm like, oh shoot, we're over. Like, I have to go thank him. So let me do that now. That was a really great conversation. I took away 3 things from Dani's discussion today. I'm hopeful that they reflect the culture in your organization. You're tremendously focused, and focused on doing the right thing, focused on being true to your product, focused on being true to your people. You're really friendly. Like, I sat here and was like, man, I'd love to chat with you more about everything. And that's really unique. You don't often get CEOs who've built what you've been able to build, who maintain a level of friendliness. And I found that you're very hopeful, and you're exercising that hope in a very deliberate way for the environment, for the company, and for our world. So thank you for helping give the world more Canada through Canada Goose. On behalf of the Canadian Club, I want to acknowledge your commitment. Thank you to Jodi for your expert moderation. I wear Canada Goose proudly. It's a recognizable brand. I think it's synonymous with our country. As I said before, I really did have a full Canada Goose ensemble ready for today. And then your team was like, he's wearing a suit. And I'm like, ugh. Like, I had the full no-fur vest. I had these white pants. Anyway, not about me. I wish you continued success and growth at Canada Goose. I look forward to my new products this fall. Jodi, thank you for being a friend of the club. Thank you for being a friend of mine. Thank you for being a friend of Dani's. You're an expert, and we hope to have you back here again soon. Cadillac Fairview, EY, thank you for your sponsorship. We really appreciate it. If you are able to join us tomorrow, we are hosting Jagmeet Singh, the leader of the Federal New Democratic Party, who is going to talk to us about his deal for Canada. And on May 3rd, on World Press Freedom Day, we host a conversation with the President and CEO of the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, Catherine Tate, and she'll be talking to us about the importance of a free press and media information in today's world. Let me conclude by thanking our AV supplier, Van Valkenburg Communications, and MediaEvents.ca for helping us make it possible for us to gather today, both in person and virtually. Members and guests, please stay safe and stay healthy. Thank you.